This is the Objective Silverback coming to you with my review of SPW Mayhem. Let's go. First match was Black Arrow and Mason, and I have my notes here. That's why I'm not wearing my sunglasses this morning because I want to be actually able to read the notes that I wrote and make sure I don't get anything wrong. Black Arrow versus Mason. Black Arrow comes out with Big T. Mason comes out with RJ. I thought this match was a good match, hot start to the crowd because both these guys are athletic. Both of these guys do very exciting stuff in the ring. So I think the rationale for having this match on first is they want to big moves, flashy moves, get the crowd into the match, get the crowd into the show, and I think they both accomplished that. I will say I think Mason is very athletic and he's a very good wrestler. He continues to impress, but I think for his character and his gimmick, he does is might sound weird, but I think he does too much actually good wrestling for his character. You know, a guy that's from the streets, a guy that's a midnight bastard. In my opinion, I think can do a bit more brawling, a bit more like dirty wrestling. You know, slaps to the face, kicking your opponent when he's down. You know, trying to scratch and claw and bite, possibly even. I think he does he doesn't do enough of that, and he does too much actually good wrestling. And I guess it's probably because he is a good wrestler. You know, if I was him, I always want to show how good of a wrestler I am too. But I think when he does a lot of his good shit, his cool shit, it makes his opponent's cool shit stand out less. And Black Arrow is a great babyface, so there's a lot of cool shit. So his match was a cool shit match, a lot of great shit. But I think, just my personal opinion, I think Mason has great character, great personality, works the fans great, but it's not consistent with his wrestling. His wrestling is not bad. It's too good. It's too clean, too athletic for what I think he's trying to portray. Black Arrow, solid as always. Great in ring, great connection with the crowd, great intensity. The match ended with a chair shot to the head, and this is where I think Mason and RJ did really well because, like what I was saying earlier, where I think they can afford to be a bit more bastardy as the Midnight Bastards. This one, they towards the end they got it where they cheated. They got Big T involved. The chair shot, big chair shot to the head of Black Arrow, and Mason gets in with the neutralizer. I believe that's his singles finish now. Hits Black Arrow with the neutralizer and picks up the win. So Mason picks up the win, builds up momentum as they should. I think the man has a bright future ahead of him, and they gave it a weapon, you know, finish so that the babyface Black Arrow has an out. He didn't get beat clean, and they also managed to get the tag team partners involved. You know, you didn't have like RJ and Mighty just like sit down there. I think they got all four people involved, and the heel gets a very heel win. Babyface gets an out. I think overall very solid match. Great athletic stuff. Good opener to the show. The next match was Selena and Ray versus Eman and May. And this, I believe, is the debut of May. And if it's not, my apologies, but this is the first time I remember seeing her wrestle. So Selena and Ray, I think, are very over with the crowd, especially Selena. Like there were people sitting next to me, like I just screaming for Selena, calling her mommy, and all of that. They are not as hot for Ray as they are for Selena, which kind of makes sense because in the dynamic of the attack team, she's the dominant one. You know, she's in charge. Eman, as usual, very solid in ring. Not not quite sure if he's gotten the connection with the audience yet, but I like his in ring work. It just flows so smoothly, and I think he's still a young guy, so he's got a lot of like time to learn. You know, I don't know if him teaming up with May is going to be a permanent thing, but if it does, it might give him the much needed dimensions to his character. And May, I got a lot of good things to say about May. I think she came out with, the baggy jeans and the fist taped up and the dyed hair, few tattoos, piercings. You know, she got that Jeff Hardy type of vibe, and she wrestled like that too. But well, actually probably cleaner than Jeff Hardy wrestled. But she had, the high flying shit, the satellite DDTs, and all the high flying shit. And but more than just the athletic stuff that she did, right? I noticed in between the moves when she's wrestling on the apron waiting for the tag, when she's selling, or when she just hit a move and the opponent kicks out of the pin, she always has a fit. Like she's always making a face. She's always emoting, expressing. Shoulders are tensed up, or like look of exasperation when she doesn't get the win. So she always was reacting and selling to something, which I thought that was really great, and she really brought the fire. You know, pro wrestling at the end of the day, it is a struggle, it's a fight, it's competition, but it should be emotionally charged, and she had all of that. So to me, she was a very natural, very impressive debut. Congratulations to her for making a debut. Unfortunately, the veterans still got the pin. Selena and Ray picked up the win here, but I think bright future for me. The next match was the LTA. I don't know how they thought of the name, but it makes sense. You know, there was once a team in yonder years, in years past, that picked a very hated acronym, an acronym that all Singaporeans hate, call themselves the GST. Whatever happened to those guys? But you know, I can't say that most people are big fans of the LTA, so I think that was a very smart move. It's a very smart name. It's definitely something that I'll remember. But now running out of hated acronyms, so I'm gonna have to think of something else when I create my own faction. But yes, Kentona, CK Vin, and Bryson Blade versus Dr. Gore, the well, Ricky Malik, and Boombox Terrence. So this is the I think second match I've seen Terrence wrestle in. The first match I believe was Clash at the Club, and in this six-man tag, I wouldn't say he got lost in the shuffle, but his role in the six-man tag was pretty much to be the babyface in peril, take offense, sell for the heels. And he did have a bit of offense here and there, but in a six-man tag where already you don't get that much ring time, new guy, and his main role was taking offense, I would say I haven't seen enough of his work to really give him like say whether he's a great worker or not. But I think he did a good job in the role that he was given here. He sold, he was sympathetic, and he got good offense when he needed it. Uh, Ricky Malik came out dressed like a dipper from Gravity Falls, but the thing is, he's quite a Gen Z like me. So when he came out to the Gravity Falls music with the Gravity Falls outfit, I got the reference. I think the fans are mostly millennials and they didn't get the reference. They called him Ash Ketchum, which is quite funny. Because he was Harry Potter last time and now he's Ash Ketchum, so he's just running through random fictional characters at this point. LTA did great. Great heat, solid heels. They put a beating on Terrence. Dr. Gore at this point is just. I wouldn't say like he's like cruising, you know. He's just like taking it easy. Not saying they didn't put an effort or anything, but to him this is like side quest for a guy of his stature, his caliber. This was like side quest to him. He and he's having fun with it, you know. He at one point he actually gave the fans always chant when Dr. Gore wrestles, right? Prostate check, check his prostate, check his prostate. He actually did check Kentona's prostate in this match. You know, he got his thumb, he oiled it up, he shoved it straight up that ass. No did he? And I hope Cantona is alright because he is an older man. You know, you have to take care of these things when you get older. Maybe he should thank Dr. Gore actually, because these things can be expensive. He got a free prostate check, so. But big plot twist in the match as the baby faces were dominating that part of the match. They're doing a big three-man move. No, sorry. Yes, the baby momentum had shifted to the side of the baby face. I believe there was a tag to Ricky Malik. Ricky Malik, Dr. Gore, Giants Boombox hitting some offense against the heels, and right at that moment, Malik turns, attacks Terrence, turns on his team, aligns himself with LTA, and lets CK Vin pin him. They hugged it out in the ring. He lied down and invited CK Vin to give him the pin. And I thought that was a very smart move for Ricky Malik. I think it makes me wonder now if the entire storyline with Malik and Kentona, they're falling out, their dispute, was that part of the plan all along? Did they think about this months and months in advance? You know, this whole thing. So if it is, I mean, kudos to them. It was a great moment. I can't remember the last time I saw a heel, a babyface turn on his friends, become heel, and then just lie down for the pin. So I thought that was great. I think that got the LTA a ton of heat. And Bryson Blade, sick RKO as always. Cantona does a great job as the enforcer. I think this faction is slowly gaining steam. It'll be really interesting to see where they go from here. And will we see the realliance, I guess, of Cantona and Ricky Malik? Now, next match was one of my personal favorite matches of the night. The tag team match between CBK, BJJ, and the Juicy Boys. It's a lot of acronyms. So CBK, BGJ came out huge pop as always, super over with the crowd. Juicy Boys did the opposite because when Miles Karu comes out to wrestle, he normally has a song prepared for his opponents. They gave the Singapore crowd nothing, and when I mean they gave nothing, that was the promo that played before the match. He said, "Oh, we're not gonna give you guys anything." They came out with a Tron, no music, just the two of them holding up the Malaysian flag, and just got booed all the way to the ring. No music, just boos all the way to the ring. So I think that was smart. That's one of the times where really less is more, right? The match itself, I really really like this match. This was a very classic tag team match, babyface versus heel. Great psychology. Heels cut off the ring, make the babyfaces sell, make them work for the tag. Hot tag in and hot tag in the old school sense. Now a lot of these days in modern wrestling, right, when people think of the hot tag, they think of double down, then both guys down, then they start smacking the mat. To get the crowd pop, and then both guys suddenly go for the tag. That's what in modern wrestling we call a hot tag. But if you look at like old school pro wrestling, right, in the 80s and all the southern tag teams, you know, uh, all the shit that Jim Cornette loves to glaze, but all that stuff that he loves to glaze, if the hot tags there are different. The hot tags are one babyface has taken a lot of heat from the heels, there'll be an opening for him to make the tag. He gets cut off. Now he's in the ring with two heels, one injured, beaten down face in the ring with two heels, and then he'll find a way to get around them. Maybe a double move, maybe the heels smack into each other, then make the tag, then get the huge pop. And they did that tonight. There was something that we don't see a lot these days, and I really commend them for doing that. One thing that I always look for in a match is for a match to like really get me hooked and think, oh, this is the finish, and then it's not the finish, and it keeps going. And this match had that. Miles and Wonderboy hit a great move. I don't know what the name for it is. It's like a heart attack with one guy holding him up in like a spine buster position. Miles hits the ropes, comes back, leg drop to the back, leg drop over Wonderboy onto CBK. I thought that was the finish, but CBK put his foot on the rope. So these guys again, it's a very classic tag team match because they made use of the rules of wrestling without breaking them too much. So I thought that was very intelligent on both parts, and they had a great Eddie Guerrero spot as well, where I think is it Wonder Boy introduced the chair into the match. Yes, Wonder Boy I believe introduced the chair into the match. All four of them in the ring, pick up the chair. No, I don't want to hold the chair. Toss it to the other guy. No, I don't want to hold the chair. Toss it to the other guy. I think the chair went like one whole round before finally CBK hit the mat. It took the bump, and then all three of them took the bump. So all four men were down. The Eddie spot where he, you know, smacks the chair on the ground, takes the bump to make it look like he got hit. All four of them went down. So that was funny as fuck. And finally, CBK hit the finish, got the win. Huge pop. One of my personal favorite matches of the night. I think Jack and Cheese really stood out. Jack, he did spend quite a bit of this match actually being the babyface in peril, selling a bit. You don't see that often, but he did that in this match. And my apologies for that. I paused the video because I had to sneeze. And as you know, Vince hates sneezing. So, yes. Yeah, CBK picked up the win. Huge pop. I was gonna say Jack did a fair bit of selling as the underdog babyface. Not a position we normally see him in. But I think he did a good job and he didn't do it too much that it killed his aura. Uh, Wonder Boy, I think, did not stand out as much as Miles. I think Miles really stood out in this match. The crowd really started to react to him. They're chanting, "Oh, Miles Carew sucks." The way they chant Cena sucks. So I think Miles is getting massively over as a babyface, and he's got like a lot of stuff going for him. He's got the height, the ability, the connection with the crowd. Wonder Boy, I think to me, I don't know, Wonder Boy can do a lot of athletic shit. I don't think he did as much as he normally can do in this match. Maybe he was like taking it easy. Maybe he wanted to give Miles more the spotlight. I don't know. But I really liked this match on the whole. One of my favorite matches of the night. Now, the next match had a very interesting twist at the end. The Statement and Shivam versus Eman and Ho Ho Loon. All four veterans, all four legends, all four top guys in their respective companies. Right, you got SPW, you got Setup, you've got MyPW, and you've got HKWF. All four top guys, and I believe uh, Statement didn't come out. So one of the disappointing things about this match was that Statement, Make It Rain by Fat Joe, did not play. Statement didn't come out to his entrance music. He didn't come out with like half his body in a blazer and then the other half outside. It's one of the things I look forward to every time I come to an SPW show. That Statement entrance is a classic. Missing out on that, but they came out together. He came out together with Shivam as a real global threat. This is a new faction that's been brewing. It's in the works. They're picking up new members every day as we speak. Literally picking up new members. If you're following what happened in the Philippines recently, so Statement comes out with Shivam, gets in the ring against Eman and Ho Ho Lun, and this match was mostly Eman getting his ass whooped by Statement and Shivam. Ho was not in the match that much. He is kind of when he was it was a tag team match. Right? When he was out on the apron, he's kind of just like fucking around with the audience, messing and playing with the kids and all that. And when it's time for him to make the comeback, then he made the comeback, quick comeback. But ultimately, Statement and Shivam picked up the win against Eman, and most of the match was Eman getting his ass whooped, and Ho just did a little bit to help, and I think he kind of got in Eman's way, right? So Statement and Shivam pick up the win. Eman is very frustrated at Ho Lun, attacks him after the match, turns on his tag partner, and that's when you see Shivam and Statement who are kind of about to exit, standing on the entranceway. They kind of look at each other and then they look at Eman and they kind of slowly make their way back to the ring. And as it happens, they make Eman an offer he can't refuse. Eman Asman, new member of Real Global Threat. It truly is a real global threat because this is a very international faction. I don't know if we've seen anything like this before. A faction where every member is like the top guy of a different promotion. You know, they recently got I believe it's Jake DeLeon from the. No, sorry, I could be wrong. But they recently got one of the top guys from the Philippines to join their faction as well. So it's like four. It's a four-man power trip basically, but four men from four different countries. So it's something very different, something very interesting, and it really is a real global threat. And Eman, I don't know if I've seen Eman work heel. I think he might have worked heel in Australia, but me personally, right, I've always seen him work babyface in this Southeast Asian region. Now he's a heel, and it will be very interesting to see what happens for him next going forward from here. The next match was Alexis versus Yuki Kamifuku, and this was a good match, very solid match. Of course, everybody knows Alexis, everyone's used to Alexis by now. She gets a great pop from the crowd every time. And Yuki comes out second, Queen of Asia champion, of course. She gets a great pop because the audience is obviously very into her and her. This was a pretty emotionally charged match because the stipulation of the match was not just the title belt on the line, but it was also Alexis Lee saying that if she didn't win this one, she would retire. And I guess there's a precedence for it as well because Alexis has been doing this for over 10 years at this point. So when she says that she might retire if she loses this, I think it's quite believable actually. It's not like some guy that's been around for 2 years and say, "Oh, I'm gonna retire if I lose this." Nobody's gonna buy that. But when one of the veterans says it, and we've seen a lot of people retire from like Alexis's generation, like that era of SPW people, like they're not wrestling anymore. They've stopped. She's one of the few ones that is actually left and still active. So when she says that she's gonna retire if she loses this, that does hold a certain weight to it. And when she won the match, there was like a relief. Like the audience had a genuine pop for that. So I think it was a great match where the audience was really emotionally invested in. And I think that's one of Alexis's biggest strengths is her connection to the audience. And I think it really showed in this match tonight. She doesn't I don't think she needs like a heel turn or anything to freshen up a gimmick. She's quite over as it is now. But I just think the lack of competition is what hurts her the most. There's not I mean, it is a problem in all promotions in Singapore. Uh, there's not many female wrestlers, and I feel like there's a lack of credible opponents for Alexis Lee at this point. So I'm just interested to see what happens next for her, because I feel like she has, for a long time, I feel like she has lacked that good dancing partner, that great one You know, that one defining feud that I think would define Alexis's career. When you think of Statement's a great feud, you think of him and Dante Chen, oh, that was a great feud. Or you think about maybe him and Shao Kahn, right? When you think of the Butcher Man, you think about him and Gore and like that alliance that they had for so long. I think Alexis lacks that dance partner. It doesn't even have to be an opponent; it could be a tag partner as well. You know, yeah, I think that's something that she's missing, but hopefully she gets that at some point soon. The next match is Zayn RH versus Destroyer Dharma, and part of the story was that Destroyer Dharma had been attacked, so he came into this match injured, and Zayn RH, of course, the devious Wolfram Cartel boss, took advantage of the injury. I have to be honest, I think this match, Destroyer Dharma sold too much. The story of this match is basically Destroyer Dharma is injured. He's the underdog babyface, and he is the one that's taking most of the punishment in this match. And he sold a lot, and he sold well for Saint RH, but he sold too much, in my opinion. I think for a guy that looks like that, even though he's injured, I don't know if he's actually legitimately injured or not, so I'll just put that out there. But if he is legitimately injured, right, he should sell nothing except for that injured leg. He should still wipe the floor with Sane, and then when Sane kicks him in his injured knee, okay, go down and sell. And then still dominate, and then, go down and sell again when he gets caught with his injured spot, you know? Because the more dominant he is, then the more obvious it becomes when Saint RH's only way of gaining offense on Dharma is to then go for the injured leg and then let him get a bit of heat on Dharma, but then let Dharma pretty much dominate the match. I think I think he was kind of too. I know Dharma's a nice guy, but he was kind of too generous to Saint in this one. Big he went on like he was like full 2008 babyface John Cena kind of selling, and he did it well. It's just that I think it does kill a bit of his mystique. It's hard for him to be with how he looks and what we know he can do. Hard for him to be the underdog babyface. He still has to be the destroyer of worlds type of babyface, and I think he sold a bit too much. But it was a good match and he did it well, so I can't say that it was a bad match. Now, the next match, I think this was match of the night, and I'm talking about. And I think you know what, maybe this should have been the main event as well because I'm a very traditionalist when it comes to professional wrestling. I think title matches should always go on last. The Butcher Man versus Carlo Cannon. So earlier on, I talked about how pro wrestling should always feel like a fight. It should feel like a struggle, right? And even as a wrestler myself, you know it in theory, and you try to make it come through in your matches. But it is harder than it looks. It's hard to make something that's not a legitimate fight feel like a legitimate fight. It's hard to really look like you're hurting your opponent without actually hurting him, and it's hard to really get that concept of a struggle across to the audience. These guys really got that across. I don't believe that they came into this match with the intention of, I want to show how good of a wrestler I am. I want to show that I can do these cool moves. I want to, impress the wrestler with my technical ability. They came into this match with the intention that they wanted to fight each other. Butcherman came into this match as the champion, but he knew that he had a tall, tall task ahead of him, and he wanted to keep that championship. He knew it was going to be a fight, and he knew that he wanted to stay champion. Carlo Cannon came into the match. He knew he wanted to take that belt away from Butcherman, and that's the thing. Because if this was a real combat sports, that's the mindset that you would approach the fight with, right? And that came across in this match. Hard hitting match. They laid their shit in so many times. I thought Butcherman fucking died in the match, but he's alive. Uh, and he gave it back to Carlo Cannon as well. He bladed and there was blood. I wouldn't say they bladed, but there was blood. I don't know if he actually got uh yeah, I don't know if it was hard way or they actually bladed because I think like I don't think you can hide a blade with like his outfit, right? Because like wrestlers hide blades in like their the seam of their pants. The Butcherman is like wearing like his outfit is tattered and all over the way. I don't think he actually could hide a blade in there, but uh yeah, I think it might have been hard way actually, but because his wife was quite worried about that. Yeah, and I think the blood added so much to the match because they did have that the Austin and Brett moment where Carlo had Butcher and I believe it was a Boston Crab, a single leg Boston Crab, And Butcherman is, he's like Austin, screaming, try just the willpower, the grit of this man, trying not to give in, and finally he hit Carlo Cannon with this the sleeper suplex. Or was it Dragon's? No, sleeper suplex, yeah, and got the win, which has actually been always been one of his signature moves. But he got the win with it this time around, and I think it really, for one, it's great because it adds a new finisher to his arsenal, makes his matches more unpredictable. Because we always hit the same finishers again and again, and okay, this is the finish. Makes his matches more unpredictable now. The crowd was super super into this fight, and this was a fight. Just two big guys laying the shit in. A lot of just two big men with big meat just slapping the meat out of each other. This the type of shit that I like. My favorite kind of match, and it just had a big fight feel. Uh, it does justice to what being a champion should be, being a top guy should be, and I think this is great for Butcherman as well because I feel like in the last show, I don't know, he wasn't as hot to me in the last show, but this show, oh, super over. Uh, and I think this match should have gone on last because I felt like the match after this was a complete 180 in terms of style and flavor, and I think this should have gone on last. But yeah, big shout out to Butcherman. If it got me, like I said, they got me. Like I talked about how with the Juicy Boys match, right? There's a moment where I thought this was the finish, and they got me hooked because it wasn't the finish, and they kept building. Same thing in this match. It happened more than it did with the Juicy Boys match, where there were so many points where I thought, okay, this is the finish. No, it's not. It keeps going. Oh, they're really struggling now. It's really in a fight now. You know, it's one of those few matches that when you know wrestling is a work and you know how to wrestle, it's not easy to sort of when the curtains are open, right? It's not easy to close the curtains back and then enjoy it as a fan. This match had me enjoying it like a monk. That's a great compliment that I can give this match. Butcherman continues to impress, and I feel like for him, his title reign has so much more juice in it. He's got so much more room to go with his title reign. So I want to see him hold the belt for a long time. I want to see where he goes from here. He was the number one pro wrestler of the year last year, and I think with a performance like this, I think he's gunning to be the number one guy again this year as well. So don't be surprised if he's back to back number one. And then finally, the main event of the evening: Aiden Rex, the Technical Marvel, versus Zack Sabre Jr. all the way from New Japan Pro Wrestling. And this is a match that you're not ever probably this type of match, this style of match, this flavor of match, you're probably never gonna see again in Singapore for not for a long time. Because this was a very grappling heavy match. I mean, you know Aiden Rex, he's wrestled before, he does his jiu-jitsu. Zack Sabre Jr., prolific technical wrestler. I don't think anybody has taken just like pure technical wrestling and brought it to the level that he's brought it. You hear WWE commentary talking about how Undertaker is the best pure striker in the WWE, whatever that means. But if there ever was a pure grappler that deserved to be called a pure grappler and the best grappler in the region or in the world, sorry, Zack Sabre Jr. without a doubt. And this is one of those few matches where I think like where I think Zack had a great dance partner in Aiden Rex because Aiden Rex can match Zack hold for hold, move for move. Me watching this match, right? And I have a bit of grappling experience as well. I did amateur freestyle Greco for about 4 years, and I've done a bit of jiu-jitsu. This match, to me, was there's not a lot of spots. I could tell, like, for these guys, it must have been, mentally, I think, quite relaxing, quite a weight off their shoulders because not a lot of spots to remember, not a lot of moves to try and plan out ahead of time and all that. It was you could just go out there and call it in the ring and have a semi shoot because that is the point of this match. That's what the audience paid to see. They paid to see the two best grapplers in the region go at it. And I think a lot of it was a majority of the match was like a semi shoot or friendly shoot. And the thing about grappling as a sport, right, if you take striking a friendly or a hard sparring session in striking, one is quite dangerous, and two, it's hard to work that and get the crowd invested in that. It's hard to tell a story with just striking, right? But with grappling, you can have a friendly sparring session. You can have even a hard sparring session. You go at 70, you roll at 80 effort, 70 effort, whatever. But also find time to sell, find time to emote, find time to get the crowd invested, while still keeping it pretty much a sparring session. Just okay, every once in a while, all right, I'll let Aiden get a top. Or every once in a while, okay, I'll take over. But pretty much still keep it like legitimately competitive, and they definitely did that in this match. And in fact, I will say that I think Aiden Rex really pushed Zack to the limit in their sparring because they were going hold for hold for hold, right? And we've done a bit of sparring in our pro wrestling training as well, with chain wrestling is concerned. And one of the things where when a guy is like you know when you've got a guy, you got that moment is when, let's say I got you in a hold, and you don't have a reversal for it, you don't have a counter for it, then you start to reach for the ropes for the rope break. When a guy when it, when it's sort of semi sparring session with chain wrestling, and the guy goes for the ropes for the rope break, that's when you know you got him, because that's when you know you didn't have an answer for your move. And Aiden Rex took Zack Sabre to that limit. He had him in the banana split, and Zack, I believe, did not have an answer for that. He had to go for the ropes. So Aiden Rex really showcased his world class grappling ability, and he got to do it against an opponent like I don't think there's anybody else on his level when it comes to grappling in the region. So finally, he got the right dance partner for him to really show what he can do, and he put Zack on the back foot in this match. The where the I guess his weakness in this match was when it came to the striking exchanges, because as much as this match was a competitive sparring match, and I'll say one more thing first, right? One of the concerns that I had was, will the SPW crowd be too drunk by the end of the show to appreciate great technical wrestling? They were not. They were with it all the way. Every small, he's got the arm, then he bends the fingers, all the small little details, they reacted to that. Every tweak here, push there, every small adjustment that they make when they're in a submission fighting for a better position, they reacted to everything. The crowd was with it all the way. I think this, but I will say that it felt like a friendly sparring session for a bit too long. I think the, the intensity only came in towards the end, or sorry, towards the middle and the end, when the striking exchanges happened, when Zack hit Aiden Rex with some wicked uppercuts. And I think this is, yeah, this is where Aiden Rex didn't look as good, because when he hit Zack back with the uppercuts, his uppercuts had no sound. And that's when the theatric element of pro wrestling comes into it. There was because he hit him hard, I could tell, I could see they made contact, but there was no sound. When Zack hit, they had the big sound, and the crowd reacted to the sound because the sound sells the impact. Aiden Rex hit hard, there was impact, but then there was no sound, and it felt a bit flat. It felt like, shit, he's not hitting Zack back. I'm sure he was hitting Zack hard. I was like, he's not getting him back. He's not getting him back. It felt like Aiden Rex was really losing out on the striking exchanges, which is a shame, because I believe he's a better striker than Zack Sabre Jr. But it felt like he came out on the losing end of the striking exchanges, and they continued to grapple. And I think the finish to me felt a bit flat. And basically, the finish is Aiden Rex, I believe, had Zack in an ankle lock, maybe going for a knee bar or something. And Zack, and as he's like, adjust, trying to get into a good position to secure the legs, Zack just grabs one of his hands and just pulls on it, and Aiden Rex gives the quick tap, and gets the win. And the finish was quite out of nowhere, and it made perfect sense. It was a very logical finish. It was a very realistic finish as well, because if you've ever done sparring in jiu-jitsu, they always say, right, tap or snap, or tap or get put to sleep, because you don't want to let your ego keep you in a hold longer than you should be and then risk permanent damage. You get in that armbar, you get in that hold, 1 2 seconds, you see if you can fight out of it. Can't fight out, can't escape, just tap quick. Don't get hurt, don't get put to sleep. And that's the logical safe thing to do when you're training and sparring. But I think for a pro wrestling match, for a main event, I think there needs to be more drama, more sizzle. Uh, maybe a dramatic sleeper hold finish where Aiden doesn't tap, or maybe milk that finish. I felt like that finish, the tone of that finish would have fit the first 5 minutes of the match, where they were sort of having like a light grappling, light sparring session. And if that was the match, then I guess it would make sense. It was an exhibition, 5 minute Aiden Rex and Zack have fun sparring each other, and then Zack gets the quick win with a quick tap. Yeah, like okay, but there was a beginning, and then the middle part had intensity, had striking exchanges, had all that, and then the end was just it was just a bit of a letdown. It didn't have the dramatic pro wrestlingness to it, to what was otherwise, I would say, a great match, a very realistic match, but an unfortunate realistic finish as well, you know. But then again, that is how it goes. If you watch MMA and you watch competitive grappling like ADCC and all this, there's no such thing as a dramatic finish in that. So I understand why they did it, and it made sense. I can tell the audience was deflated. Like me, I get why they did it. It made sense. It was very logical. But I think this is the one moment in this entire very realistic, very logical, very real fight, competitive match, technical match. There was the one moment where they should have thrown the logic out the window and just had a wrestling finish to it. But other than that, it was a fantastic match. And Aiden Rex came out looking really, really good. He lost the match, but he came out looking better than he has ever looked. So the question now is, if Aiden Rex can push former IWGP World Champion to the limit, who else? What's next? You know, I think we've been wanting to see Aiden Rex and Butcherman go at it for a long time, and I think I don't know, I think this match made me more keen to see that match. I feel like if he can push Zack Sabre Jr. to the limit, I think he can give Butcherman a real run for his money, and that'll be a very interesting clash of styles. This is a very different match, right? Because Carlo Cannon and Butcher, similar styles. Aiden Rex and Zack Sabre Jr., similar styles, right? When you put like Aiden and Butcher in, that's going to be a huge contrast of styles, and that's something that personally, I am really looking forward to see. But at the end of the day, SPW Mayhem, I think this was a packed show, full house, and I think it was definitely one of the better SPW shows. It was a great show. I had a great time. As always, a big thank you to all the SPW boys for making me feel welcome. And all for the dinner, for the beers. A great time talking to you guys. Not just at the show, because I enjoy more than just the show. I enjoy more than just the wrestling. I enjoy getting to meet you guys, talk, lepak, shoot the shit, and just talk about pro wrestling. And I had a great time as always. Big shout out to the boys. Thank you to the boss man, Andrew Tang, for bringing down Zack Sabre Jr. And it was a great show, and I can't wait for the next one. So that is the end of my SPW Mayhem review. I did my best to be as objective as possible. And if I forget shit, please call me out and let me know. This is the Objective Silverback signing off.
Let's go.